Okay, fifth graders, second lesson for this week. This is 15-2. What page is this? This is page, I think it's 597. Talking about races here. It says Jack is training for a race each week. He looks like he runs 30 miles and bikes 120 miles. That's a lot more running than I could do. My knees couldn't take that. He created a table to show his progress. How many total miles will he run and bike after 5 weeks? That's the question. Can you identify the relationship between miles run, miles run and miles biked? So week 1, 30 miles and 120 miles bike. Week 2, double it. 60 miles. Well, you just add 30 miles to it, really, which would be doubling it, essentially. And then 240. Okay, so you're adding another 120. And then week 3, you're adding another, 30 miles, so that'd be 90. And then you're adding another 120, which would be 360. So you can see the pattern there, all right? And then it says compare the corresponding terms in the pattern. So 30 times 4 is 120. So 30 times, I'm going to put that times 4 equals 120. And notice that 60 times 4 equals 240. And then 90 times 4, or 9 times 4 is 36, add a 0, 360. So you can see the pattern here. And the pattern is the number of miles biked is always 4 times the total number of miles run. And so that's a pattern that they wanted to point out. All right. Talking about running, I've never ran a marathon. I don't think I ever will. I don't really care for running that much. Some of you probably do enjoy running. Do you know how far a marathon is? If you ever run a marathon, some of you might know this, some of you may not. So a marathon is 26 miles. Actually, just a little bit over 26 miles. Have you ever heard of an ultra marathon? Yeah, ultra marathons, ultra marathon runners. Those ultra marathons are actually over 50 miles. And did you know that there's some marathons that are over 100 miles? 100 miles long. And there's probably some marathons that are even more than 100 miles. And I just think that's insane. That's crazy. How could you ever do that? Well, I thought I'd look up the longest race, in the world. And there's a multi-day race. Actually, it's more like a multi-month race. It's called the Self-Transcendence 3,100 mile race. And here's the track. When I first heard of it, I thought, oh, well, they're probably just running across the United States, because the United States from California to New York is about 3,000 miles. But it's not. This is a foot race, and if you look at this map here that I put up, it's a foot race. And it's, just like I said, 3,100 miles long. And basically it's 5,600 and, where'd it go? 5,600 and, I saw it here a moment ago. Yeah, 49 laps. That's a lot of laps. And it takes place between, I think it's July and August every year. And on average, the runners are running about, remember that approximate sign, about 49 miles each day. That's just beyond me. I can't fathom that. Anyways, just wanted to share that with you guys, a little tidbit, some interesting facts. Okay, so let's see here. Guided practice. Is that where we are? Yeah, I guess we're to guided practice already. Oh yeah, I'm not worried about, yeah, we don't need to worry about that. So guided practice here. Let's go down to that. Next page. Move this over, okay. Let's see here. Number 1, it says, Nico says the relationship between the terms is that the number of miles run is a quarter of the number of miles biked. Do you agree? Well, yes, because each time it's multiplied by 4, and so it would be a quarter of the number of miles biked. Each mile, should be mile, 1e, mile run is times by 4 to the number of miles biked. Okay? So there's that one done for you. How nice is that? Number 2, how many total miles will Jack have run and biked after 10 weeks? After 15 weeks? There's 2 questions there. So make sure you get them both, 10 and 15. So you can answer those. You know how to extend those charts now. You can figure that out. Miguel says that he can use multiplication to find the terms in the patterns. Do you agree? Oh, yes, you can. All right. Most definitely. Let's see here. Let's see here. Explain. Each term can be, that's an n there, believe it or not, multiplied by 4. Yeah, that's good enough. All right, I'm not picky on that. Number 4, Maria and Henry are starting a savings account. She puts $250 into her account each month, and Henry puts $125 into his account each month. Okay, so we could do, here's Maria, 100 or 250. So Maria, so the first month she'll have 250. And Henry here, he's putting in 125. So I can put 125 right here. After, how much money after each of them have wait. Sometimes I think I need to have a cup of coffee in the afternoon. That's when I'm doing this. How much money will each of them have saved after 6 months? That's a oddly worded sentence. All right, so 6 months, and they've got them right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, and you know to just double it each, not double it each time, but add 250, add 125 each time. All right, you guys can do these. They're not that hard. Number 5, what's the relationship do you notice between the total amount Maria has saved after each month and the total amount Henry has saved after each month? You can do that. Let's see here. Think of it in terms of 125 is what of 250? Well, it's half of 250, so that might kind of help you. And number 6, if Maria and Henry continue saving this way for a full year, how much more will Maria have saved than Henry? Okay, you can do that. And they said for a full year, so be thinking about that. How many months are in a year? There's 12 months in a year. So you're going to extend this. I need an N in there, to 12 months. Right now, this chart is just to 6 months. All right, problem solving. Number 7. Sheila and Patrick are making a table to compare gallons, quarts, and pints. Use the rule, add 4 to complete the column for the number of quarts. So you're going to have to go back to chapter, wasn't 13, I think it might have been 12 that we talked about quarts and gallons and pints. But you can go back in your workbook and see. Then use the rule, add 8 to complete the column for the number of pints. So I'm going to let you guys figure that one out. Patrick has a 12-gallon fish tank at home. How many quarts of water will his fish tank? Will fill his fish tank? And then how many pints? Okay, so you're going to have to definitely go back to that chapter. Number 9, what's the relationship, do you notice, between the number of quarts and the number of pints? All right, I think you could do that one. Let's see here. Well, number 9, I'll just answer this here. There are always 2 pints. Whoops. 2 pints for every quart. There you go. Did number 9 for you. Number 10. At their family's pizzeria, Dan makes 8 pizzas. In the first hour, they are open, and 6 pizzas each hour after that. Susan makes 12 in the first hour and 6 pizzas each hour after that. So they're both making, oh no, Dan here, 8 pizzas and then 6 each hour. Okay. And then Susan here, 12 the first hour and 6 also after each hour. So there's Susan, and here's Dan. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. It changes after the first hour. So Dan makes 8 the first hour, and Susan makes 12 the first hour. And then each of them makes 6 pizzas each hour after that. So the second hour, what's 8 plus 6? That's going to be 14. What's 12 plus 6? That's going to be 18. Okay. And then the question is, complete the table using the add 6 to help you. Well, you're going to be adding 6 each hour. Okay. And how many pizzas will they make in all? They make in all. So you're going to add them both together. Okay. So you can do number 10. Number 11, look for relationships. Compare the total number of pizzas made by each person after each hour. What relationship do you notice? Yeah, you give it a shot. All right. Susan's always going to, and I'll go ahead and partially answer that. I'll just say Susan. Whoops. Susan will have always made what number of pizzas? Well, let's see here. I'll phrase that a little different. Susan will have always made some number of pizzas more than Dan. Okay. And then 12, finally, I think we're about done here. Mike and Sarah are packaging. Scroll down a little bit further here. Yeah, you can do 12 and you can do 13. So that's it. Oh my gosh, I think that might be the last lesson for the entire school year.